Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and Friends. And ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that we are waiting for is the rest of the friends. That's right. We are down several panel members, but that's because they are running late. We're still waiting on Dutch. We're still waiting on Crispy Bomb, and we're still waiting on Everborn and the other guest, which of course is Andre, who should be here making his prime time. Here he is. Speaking of the devil, Andre P. Doyle. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
What's going on, guys?
Hey, man, welcome. Actually, you happened to come right in as we went live, and I was saying that we were missing you, and here you are. So welcome to the program, brother. How you feeling?
Pretty good. This is awesome, man. I just this is one of my dream things to be on you guys' show and whatnot, talk gaming stuff, and just my knowledge of gaming and technology and stuff like that. As I showed you and King David on the DMs and stuff recently, like everything about the Microsoft Cloud and gaming and everything like that. It's really cool, man. It's really cool to be on the show, but I had to make sure my thing was up, my mic was on and stuff like that. So I was like, all right.
No, you sound good. You look good. We appreciate you being here. As many people know, I originally had pitched the show as we were going to talk about what Sarah Bond had to say regarding Unity. We had a fighting game topic, and we also were going to talk about an update to an upcoming Xbox game. But folks, that got thrown out the window. Because I have been, along with a lot of people on the panel and the channel, as well as the community, has in the last few hours been bombarded with lots of information that, quite frankly, makes Sony look pretty bad. Yeah. We're going to be breaking down, and more than likely, we're going to spend the entire podcast talking about it because Sony, as everyone knows, a couple of weeks ago, really made the Brazilian regulators think that they were the victim with what they pitched them about how Call of Duty becoming first party for Xbox was going to hurt their bottom line. They had a lot of pretty pretty interesting things to say, which of course they were all straight up lies. And now a lot of the redacted information, which is what the responses from Xbox or Microsoft, have come the way of the interwebs. Now, the question is, where are these leaks coming from? I seem to think that Microsoft basically and their legal team had enough of Sony shenanigans. And again, this is just my opinion. I think that they have put it out there to let people know and to let regulators know who maybe are part of the community that this is BS. And Sony has done very egregious tactics to funnel people from Xbox to PlayStation. I mean, it's business, folks. We understand that. But what I don't understand is how the bully of the interwebs, who has been the schoolyard go-to bully for what seems like years, has now claimed to be the victim. One Bad Mother, how you feeling? Welcome back.
Hey, what's going on? Was that my side? I don't know where that sound came from, but yeah, man, it's great to be here with everybody. I know it's been a minute. Boom, I know you always leave me the key to pop in whenever I can, but lately I haven't had a time to drive by the house, so it's really great to see you guys again. Though I thought today would be a good day. I was actually going to be available, and I thought, well, there's not a lot going on in gaming. It's a great day just to kind of have some chill gaming conversations and see you guys again and get caught up. But lo and behold, like what seems to happen so often, I say I'm going to be on the show, and then breaking news happens.
Yes,
and people start fighting. And people start fighting in Twitter.
We got to have you on more often. That is for sure. Listen, Kay Asante, how you feeling, brother? What you been up to?
I've been good. I appreciate being on the show, of course, as usual. I see a lot of folks, already in here, already having the conversation that we've been wanting to have in here today. I expected it to be a nice, quiet day, and then all of a sudden, some gaps are being filled in for us as of late. So this should be an interesting show and a momentous conversation. So I'm here for it. I appreciate being here. This should be
And
interesting. It should be fun.
a showcase, Ante, that is being sponsored by, Manscaped.com. Now, Santa, I have a question for you. Did you see the new Predator film released on Hulu called Prey?
Oh yeah, sure I did. It was outstanding. I really enjoyed how they made 1719 feel very lived in the plains and the dense forest where the predator was hunting.
Well, I mean, talk about forest. Well, if you want to keep your forest at bay, you need Manscaped products like the Lawnmower 4.0 to trim that bush. And if you're on the run from the predator, the last thing that you need is to have your freshly shaved twig and berries getting chafed. You need the Manscaped Premium Ultra Soft Boxer Briefs. Now, if you want to go to manscaped.com and use the code Double Barrel Gaming or DBG20 at checkout, you're going to save 20% and get free shipping on your entire order. So remember, folks, if the predator is chasing you and your man jewels are bouncing around, that's on you. You should have been wearing the Manscaped Premium Ultra Soft Boxers. And when he takes out your spine, well, again, you got caught because you had your nuts banging. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your ad for today. Thank you so much to Manscaped for once again sponsoring Double Barrel Gaming. And again, just want to throw it out there. Go to manscaped.com, type in the code DBG20 to save 20% and free shipping off your entire order. Now, ladies and gentlemen, all the fun and games are done. We are still waiting for people to get here, and we're going to have a star-studded packed panel, but we have to get into the breaking news. Now, earlier today, I jumped on and did a 60-minute primetime gaming special edition with Crispy Bomb. And the reason why I did such a thing is because it was reported by VGC, and this was 3 days ago. Someone had added me on Twitter, and I got to take a look at this story. Now I want to pull up that story for you right here, and the story goes as this. Let me just find it. Hold on just a second. For the love of Joe. Basically, what has happened, okay, is Sony had put it out there to the ether that they are feeling a type of way about this deal. Now, the gentleman on Twitter who added me that brought this to my attention was BMG_King, and that's at King_KILLR66 of Twitter. And VGC did a report that was basically that exploded on the scene. And this first report says this: Microsoft has shot down Sony's claims that its proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard would be anti-competitive, especially with regards to Call of Duty. And we talked 60 minutes about, some of Sony's earlier tactics, and, them actually playing the victim here is hilarious. Honestly, it is absolutely hilarious. But it was, ladies and gentlemen, the second report that really exploded on the scene. And again, this comes the way of VGC. It was written once again by Chris Scullion, and it was posted this afternoon. And it says this: Xbox has accused Sony of paying developers Game Pass block fees. The company claims Sony is trying to inhibit growth of its subscription service. And folks, that's actually a thing. Apparently, according to documents from the Brazil's Administrative Council of Economic Defense, which the acronym is CADE, CADE, to justify its proposal acquisition of Activision Blizzard, the Xbox firm claimed that Sony actively attempts to inhibit growth of Game Pass by trying to prevent content from appearing on it. And here is what Microsoft has to say. Now, one of the things that I do want to bring up into the conversation is someone called Charlie Intel. I kind of think you know who that is. They are not only a blue check mark, but they're one of the founding fathers of anything Call of Duty. And this is what they had to say. They have the quotes here, and I'm going to read them verbatim. And this is coming directly from Charlie Intel official Twitter account. And here is one of the responses from Microsoft. Considering that exclusivity strategies have been at the core of Sony's strategy to strengthen its presence in games, in games industry, and that Sony is a leader in the digital distribution of digital games. Sony's concern with possible exclusivity of Activision's content is incoherent, to say the least. Now, what's interesting here, and Kay, I want to go to you first on this because we were talking in the green room, and I kind of want to wait, for more people to file in here. I kind of want to wait for the rest of our panel, but I gotta get your opinion on this. This is Sony. Listen, we're going to get a bunch of Sony folks in here, and I hope that we do. Honestly, Sony, Nintendo, PC, everyone's welcome here. Mi casa, su casa, right? Everyone come in, grab a Dr. Pepper, grab a beer, hang out, play some games. Let's have a conversation. You're all welcome. But I'm going to tell you this. It's going to get serious in this chat today. It's going to get serious on this podcast because I cannot believe Sony with this BS. Honestly, Kay, this is unbelievable that they would go the lengths of this, thinking that the Brazilian government is somehow going to put an injunction that Call of Duty. First of all, Call of Duty is going to stay multi-plat. And the reason why that is, folks, is because Microsoft loves money. Their investors love it even more. If you take Call of Duty off of PlayStation, you're leaving millions upon millions of dollars on the table. The fact of the matter is that the casual audience that has made up almost 80+% of Sony's 115 million PlayStation 4 sales are going to look, all right, and they're going to see that when the advertisement comes, get Call of Duty and Xbox Game Pass for as low as $5 a month in the family plan. They're going to get together with 4 of their buddies and say, hey, listen, I'll pay on September, you pay October, Johnny, you pay December. And they're going to go down the line and they're all going to come over because Call of Duty is in Xbox and it's an Xbox Game Pass. You tell me that you think that they're going to pay $76.43 in New York for Call of Duty when they can get it for as low as $5? That's what Sony's afraid of. That's why Sony has concerns. But what's interesting here is crying victim when we just learned they are paying block fees. This is the same publisher that has gone out of their way, ladies and gentlemen, to charge for crossplay. Confirmed information. And we're going to have people defending this shit? Are you kidding me? Please, by all means, Kay Asante, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, it is a very interesting position we find ourselves in as people who are consumers who pay attention to this stuff. It's very funny to see what all the back and forth is because we see it very plain as day, right? But I've said this on this show before. I actually do think this is big news, but maybe not for what most people so far have been talking about. To me, the big news here is that Microsoft is finally speaking now. How the news came out, was it a leak? Was it something they wanted people to know? Was it on purpose? That's the stuff, that's the devil that's in the details. And I wish we would ever find that out. But to me, that's what makes this big news, because this stuff has been happening between the companies for a while now, right? Every once in a while, Microsoft lends a hand, the other one shakes it. When they're not looking, he gouges them in the eye. It tends to happen.
It's kind of like old school wrestling, is what you're saying.
It
WWF.
really is. It's been happening in the business sense many times. They show up on a stage together. Everybody's kumbaya. Oh, this will be the turning point. And then 5 minutes later, somebody's talking about your business model sucks, or something to that effect. They've been doing this for a long time now. The only difference is, whereas as Sony stays aggressive and is aggressive and continues to be aggressive, Microsoft doesn't seem to, get with it. Obviously, you don't want them to overdo it because, then you go, we know what you're capable of. We need you to be, within your space and work well. But we need at least some kind of aggression, some kind of response. And to me, this is them finally, in some form of fashion, at least they're acknowledging it. They're responding to it. They're putting voice to all of the frustration that some of the hardcore have actually been talking about for quite some time now, right? Now, as far as what PlayStation is doing or what they're saying, again, I would be surprised if they came out and they were as magnanimous as the rest of the folks that were being asked, because this is their business model. This has always been their business model, right? And it makes sense why they're acting this way. You know, even though, as you've said, Boom, you know, it's already been in black and white that there's no way that Call of Duty's leaving the PlayStation. Call of Duty's gonna be there because the presumed owner, right, has already put it forth that he's gonna leave it there. So that's that. So clearly, you know that that's not what you're really arguing about. But if you really pay attention to what's going on, what they're actually arguing about, what they're concerned about, is the fact that this is many stepping stones to the inevitability that they're very, very much concerned about, which is them losing that leadership position. Correct. Right? Because them losing that leadership position comes with a lot of perks that they enjoy now that they will not be able to enjoy once you look and see that they don't have as many people as the other guy anymore. And Call of Duty is synonymous with that. You know, where the casuals go, that's where who becomes the leader. And Call of Duty is the canary in the coal mine when it comes to that. So even though Microsoft says, "Oh, it's going to be everywhere," you know, Sony as an entity that can't see beyond itself are going, "There's no way on earth you're going to leave it there forever. So we might as well at least try to get what we can from you right now." You know what I'm saying? So honestly, I again, this is very interesting. I love how they took a strategic move here and decided, you know what, first off, Sony decided we're gonna dirty up our image a little bit. People know that we're aggressive. We're gonna continue to be aggressive, and basically, take the Brazilian regulatory bodies to task. Can they do their homework and realize we're full of crap, or are they gonna see all this hogwash we're feeding them and go kumbaya about it, right? Maybe they do, and we get a consent decree out of the situation. If that's the case, hey, score for us. If it doesn't work out, yeah, we dirty up our image a little bit more, but hey, everyone knows us this way already, right? Now, the flip side, Microsoft is going, hey, it's about time we say something, right? And that to me is a big deal.
Yeah,
I hope that they say more of it in a more official capacity, right?
Yeah.
I want them to say in a more official capacity. I want to see somebody in a suit and tie on CNBC going, look, these guys have been dirtying up their own image for years now, and really lay it out, because it's about time they start speaking that way. That's my opinion on it.
So basically what you're saying is they should come out and tell the people they've been yucking up their yum.
Basically,
for years.
They should basically come out. I want someone, in lawyerly speak, to come out and say, look, if we wanted to take them out, we could have a long time ago. We've been very nice about it, and still this is what we get whenever we put something forth. There's no need for them to speak the way they're speaking to right now, because if their problem is Call of Duty, we have already televised that Call of Duty will be there and will continue to be there. So there's no need for the speak that we are being allowed to answer for. Clearly, there's something else going on there, right?
No,
they need to be more aggressive in their speak on it. And I think the fact
agree.
that so that's where I am. I'm happy that they're at least speaking about it at this point.
Well, Isildur's Bane in the chat says something pretty interesting. He says, also, Boom, the Brazilian board is more of an anti-consumer agency. All Microsoft has to do is say, hey, Sony raised their price to $70 per game, and they're charging $10 for upgrades. We provide our games for $15 a month, done. And they don't charge for upgrades either. They could actually add that to the conversation. Look, I want to bring in One Bad Mother, but before I do, I want to read some more excerpts from this newly published information from VGC. These, again, folks, are direct quotes from Microsoft concerning the Brazilian government and what Sony had to say. And it says this: considering that exclusivity strategies have been at the core of Sony's strategy for strengthening, I'm sorry, I already read that. Yes. Let me continue. Here's the other one. It only reveals once again a fear about innovative business model that offers high quality content at low cost to gamers, threatening a leadership that has been forged from device centric and exclusivity focused strategy over the years. That is an interesting statement from Microsoft. And again, I'm with Kay Asante here, one bad mother. I want to see someone, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Amy Hood. I don't care if it's Satya Nadella. I don't care if it's Phil Spencer. I want to see someone come out here and actually give an official statement and put Sony in the spotlight, put them on blast, put them in the corner, give them the dunce cap, whatever you want to call it, whatever analogy you want to add to it. But I'm interested to get your opinion on this, because obviously we haven't had a chance to honestly talk regarding this, and this seems to be spiraling out of control. Not for Microsoft, but for Sony. And now this is now week number 2 that more information has come out. And a lot of the stuff here, folks, is the redacted, blacked out aspect of how Microsoft originally responded. Now, I don't know if Sony blacked that out. I don't know. But now a lot of that information has been made public in the last 8 hours, and it really does put an ugly light on Sony. I don't know how you can be a Sony fan and defend this. And listen, before I give you the microphone, I want to read what the rest of the community is saying. And the first quote comes in from Gavin Stevens. Now, if you don't know who Gavin Stevens is, he is a developer. He's working on an indie title called Overdose. He's also the author of Cheeky Mouse series of stories. And obviously, he's a father, husband, person who does things occasionally. Now, he had something super interested to say regarding this. And he says this, folks. So, Sony we're paying for blocking rights and stopping Microsoft from paying for games on Xbox Game Pass. After the Resident Evil 8 leaks were made to look false, man, all of this chest thumping about the Activision deal not being fair despite Call of Duty staying multiplat sure looks bad now. And Tim Dog, good friend of this program, great friend of this community, here is what Tim had to say only an hour ago. And I quote, "Funny how Sony plays that the Activision deal is anti-competitive with all of the S they have pulled throughout the years. This is why I have always told Xbox executives that if they could erase Xbox, they would, and so on. Kudos to Xbox response to government. Loved how they used Ryan's comments." And listen, by all means, take it away, OBM. What do you got to say about this?
Man, okay, so like after after both of you, 10 different things. I want a different topic. So we'll come back to you, Boom, in about an hour and a half. No, I'm just kidding. But I guess the first thing I would do is step back a little bit, regarding where the information's coming from, and some of the like is Microsoft really responding to Sony publicly? And I don't think that's the case here. One thing I did hear, and I'm not a legal expert, but I thought I heard off the last leak that the Brazilian government has more transparency with these things. And the reason why we're hearing it here and we're not hearing it with some of the other, this has probably taken place in other countries already. This game that they're playing, and that's kind of how I look at it.
Real quick, OBM, to your point, the Brazilian government, their regulatory bodies have a clause that brings out all those comments to the public forum. So these questions have been asked already. It's just that in Brazil, that if they ask you that question and you answer it,
it's going to go to
letting everybody hear it.
And they probably know that too, right? Like, so Sony and Microsoft probably are very aware that this is going to go out to the public. But at the end of the day, I do think it's just a game you play in court. I don't know that really anything's ever I don't think anything's really changed between Microsoft and Sony. They know they compete. They know that the legal process is a game. What I'm more interested in is actually some of the details of what they say, because what you're kind of looking for here is I think what Sony's trying to do is, in every one of these countries, they're going to make the case because they're hoping that they get a concession somewhere, right? And that's at the end of the day. That's going to help their stock. That's going to help their security to know that, that they get some sort of something that's in writing that, gives them some assurity or there's something reliable that these games are going to continue to hit their platform, that it's not going to be something their investors need to worry about, all that. But so with that in mind, the things that really stuck out to me, if you understand some of the regulations and where there was potential for Microsoft to get locked up, at least like according to some of the legal experts. Again, I'm not one, but according to people that are legal experts, some of the things I heard is where these regulations are focus is they are in big tech, but they're really more looking at like emerging markets, new markets, things like that. And really, when you kind of look at it that way, console is one slice of a pie in gaming, and it's a stagnant pie. It's not something that's growing even though the rest of the industry is growing. And most regulatory industries aren't, I don't think they're really interested in console wars. And that's just, again, listening to some of the experts, what they're saying. That's what my opinion is on that. So one of the things they said is really where Sony has the best play here is to talk about the subscription. Talk about the subscription. It's a new market. It's a new market that Microsoft could get a monopoly in. Nobody's going to be able to compete with them there. And so this is where I thought it was interesting because, and why Microsoft mentioned some of the things they mentioned. They said that, basically Sony's trying to basically say, hey, this subscription thing, you need to do something to kind of regulate or control this because they're basically taking this over before anybody else gets in. And Microsoft's going, no, subscription is just part of the overall competition. And then they point that out. I'm reading one of the things.
Hey, OBM, really quick, just some context to your point, though. I don't even know how Sony makes the case because they themselves in these same documents and their answers to these questions admit that subscription games compete with direct sale games. Yeah, right?
Checkmate. That's exactly what I was going to get to. When you kind of do it, they're basically doing two sides. They're going you need to stop the subscription thing. But then, they themselves have talked about how it competes with their business, and Microsoft's going, well, look they even said in their last thing, this is something that competes with their traditional model. So looking at one of the statements, basically, they don't want Game Pass to be perceived as its own things. And Sony's arguing hey, this is going to be a tipping point, that it's going to compete with the buy to play model. And so if they're saying that, they're admitting that this is not anti-competitive. This is actually adding more competition to their model. And that's what Microsoft is saying. And then I think the reason they point out the Game Pass, how Sony is paying for games not to go to Game Pass, is because if you are arguing that subscriptions exist in their own vacuum, they basically, there is no competition for them, then why the hell would you need to pay to keep something off of there, right? The only explanation in that, so basically if you're trying to isolate it into its own thing, then what you're saying is you're blocking content from going into this business, right? Yes. Subscriptions are their own business. So you're going to say that, that's anti-competitive, right? If you're not allowing content to reach an entire, a business that exists on its own. And Microsoft say, and so it works both ways. So what Microsoft is saying is that no, it competes with this. Sony is saying that. So that also makes it legally okay for Sony to do that on one side, but again, you can't play both sides. You can't sit there and say that we're going to block this content because blocking it helps us compete with our traditional model, but then say that they don't compete. If that makes sense, I know it's kind of going in circles there, but
no, it makes perfect sense. But I do want to add some context to what everyone has said so far in this statement. Microsoft has reiterates that not only do they intend to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation beyond the Activision acquisition, it says, and I quote, it simply wouldn't be profitable to make Call of Duty Xbox exclusive. Now, that is an interesting point.
Well, hold on, because in that same paragraph, and I just shared this in the DM, I want to read the second sentence.
Please read it. Go ahead. Go for it.
Microsoft says a strategy of not distributing Activision Blizzard games on rival consoles would only be profitable if the games could attract a high number of players to the Xbox ecosystem, resulting in revenue to compensate for the losses from not selling these titles on other rival consoles. Now, let me ask you guys something, panel and chat. What game do you think has the potential to bring high numbers of players that would offset losses for sales on computers?
Starfield, Skyrim.
I would also argue COD is one of those things.
Yeah,
that will
me too.
bring
I'd argue
a lot
that.
of
Yes.
people. So yes, they have a desire, because everybody has a desire when you're trying to close the deal, right? You're trying to get late at night. You tell the girl, "Hey, I have a desire for everything to go. We're gonna get married, baby. It's all good." Right?
Well,
don't be living in Vegas for too long, bro.
That's right. You'll get married multiple times.
All I'm saying is this entire thing is that Sony knows, Microsoft knows, and everyone else knows that's doing a wink and a nudge that tomorrow, if the deal closes tomorrow and that marketing deal is done, unless it is explicitly written down, Microsoft does not have to do anything.
No, that is correct. But here is something. This is where, folks, and like I said, I don't know how this information came to be. I don't know if this is Microsoft who basically what we're witnessing now could be this scenario. You ever see these videos where there's a bully and they're picking on the same kid, and they've backed that kid into the corner, and then he lifts him up and breaks his shoulder on the floor, and then that poor kid gets in trouble and suspended, but yet no one defended him when he was getting picked on for what seems like the entire school year. That's what's happening here, and this is a statement directly from Microsoft. From the first story from VGC, which is videogameschronicles.com, and this is where they show their fangs, folks. Microsoft goes on to state, and I quote, Sony does not want to see Call of Duty games on Xbox Game Pass day one because it is resentful of having to compete with Microsoft's subscription service. End quote. That's from Microsoft. But OBM, please continue.
No, and I think that's a good point too. So I mean, that's what it essentially starts to boil down to. So basically, I think between the back and forth between Microsoft and Sony, they've kind of backed them into the point that these do compete, right? They basically said, the subscriptions will compete with digital pay to, the traditional model right now, the traditional digital model. And so it doesn't really give, I think at this point, this isn't really like when Microsoft's saying these things, for the most part, I don't feel like they're meant for the public. I just feel like they're trying to back Sony into this corner so that they don't have to give concessions. Even if they plan to leave Call of Duty, they desire to leave it, multi-plat, having that leverage long term. They don't want concessions. Satya Nadella has already said he doesn't think there needs to be any, and I don't think they're done. And I agree with that. And they also mentions Nintendo and Steam have done very, very well without Call of Duty. So this and Game Pass, built up from nothing without Call of Duty. So like a lot of the things that they point this out, if you kind of read that document, they keep going through all these examples to say that everything that they're saying here doesn't really have any basis, because you can find a contradictory example.
OBM though, and I want to ask another question. This is not just for you, but for everyone, the chat included. Why would Microsoft bring up COD not being on another platform if they had no intentions of it?
It's going to be on both. I don't care what anybody says.
I agree.
Going to be on both.
Yep.
Yeah. I a couple points. I do think Everborn, I do think they don't want to have any sort of anything in documentation that they have to that kind of corners them, right, for the long term. First of all, I mean, they can have intention, but we don't know what the market's going to look like in 10 years, right? Like, do they have to keep providing versions of Call of Duty for the PlayStation when most people move on to other types of devices? So like, there's no, like, it does them no good. And also they probably don't want to lose that leverage because, I'm sure there's still other things they want to negotiate, like cross-play fees, things like that.
Yep.
So I'm sure my guess, and I don't know this, but my guess is Jim Ryan and Phil Spencer, they said they had a conversation. They probably have a general understanding of how this is going to work, at least in the near future. But Microsoft doesn't want anything in writing that's going to, maybe put them in a spot where they lose any leverage that they may have had in those conversations already, right? So that's one. But I do think, and I've argued this with a lot of Xbox fans, and sometimes people get mad at me about this, but I think Call of Duty is different than Skyrim. As big as Skyrim and it is one of the biggest franchises in all of gaming. Its value is very unique. It is, Microsoft's not entirely wrong when they say like Call of Duty doesn't do anything specifically like that nobody else could replicate on screen, right?
Can I kind of do something to you, bad mother? Can I
do it?
Can I tell you that what's the last game that beat Call of Duty? It was Cyberpunk 2077.
Yep.
Everybody remember that? Okay, and that game started out as trash. If Xbox actually takes these IPs that are especially about Bethesda and make them into something that they should be, which we've never seen before, because honestly, Bethesda games at the launch are pretty trash. Let's be honest, okay? So you look at that and you say, you give them actual time, you give them the relevance, the time of day, and also the freaking money, okay? And you say, you know what? Starfield, you could sit. Think about that. Starfield sitting. Redfall, think about this. You're going to be able to play single player or multiplayer and have different experiences in Redfall from what I've seen so far. Think about that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's where you go and say, they are trying to play a different game, people. They're just trying to play a different game. And you know what? I really, truly believe that if Sony came out and apologized for what they said in Brazil, Microsoft would have never released what they said.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is a counter.
Hey, let me say something.
I think the whole thing is being released at once. But yeah, go ahead, everyone.
Just one second. I said this earlier today. Another way to look at this, though, is that the threat of Call of Duty going exclusive may be more valuable than it actually going exclusive, because there's so many things that you can dictate to Sony in the industry.
All it's forcing is Sony to actually make a multiplayer exclusive. Sorry, not sorry, but sorry. It's been like, what, 7 years? I mean, come on. What are we going to say? Factions? Come on, bro. Come on. Like, what? We got Gears 5, what, 3 years after that? Like, we're beating a dead horse, and the problem is that Xbox is just a little bit ahead. And for once, they're not acting like they're too far ahead. They're not throwing every single dime at it. They're saying, you know what? We're going to gradually do it. But when Satya was like, yeah, we'll buy anything if we can. Well, guess what? They can buy PlayStation and Nintendo, and ain't nobody going to bat an eye, because they ain't even half the value of half the companies that have been bought already. MGM, freaking Fox. How about Fox? Think about that. Disney just slapped the money in front of them. Like, come on. Like, let's be serious, okay? The only thing that's different is that Nintendo and Sony are Japanese developers at this point in time, even though most of Sony's properties are over here. Okay? Like, I don't know, dude. Like, it's a little weird. I'm a little off put. And at the same time, I haven't seen Sony like this in, I mean, God, like,
this is a real petty Sony, and I think they're grasping at straws. But listen, OBM,
one thing about Sony being petty. I think what the biggest thing here is, Sony is afraid that Microsoft will do to them what they have done to Microsoft for the last 8 years.
Not just Microsoft, though. That's the messed up part. A lot of people disacknowledge the fact they almost killed Nintendo. They killed Sega, by the way. Like, come on, dude.
Well, Sega did add to their own demise, though, right? Like, it wasn't
DSL. Guess who else did DSL? the original Xbox. A lot of people forget that. So I don't know, dude. I'm a little off put of how people are acting, that they think that Sony's on this high horse. Because don't get me wrong, they've always acted like the underdog, but really, were they?
I mean, I just think they're trying to. I really don't even. Honestly, like, and this going back to what I was saying earlier, I don't even think the regulators care about the console thing. I think Microsoft's concession to sort of pre-concession or whatever, like good faith offering, is something that they were planning to do either way. And the reason is, and this is where I argue with a lot of my fellow community about. I think they're going to do really well in the console space as a sort of halo effect, no pun intended, of all this mind share they're going to gain with Game Pass, with being on PC, being everywhere. And I think Microsoft knew at the beginning of this generation they needed to have some exclusives for the console box to regain the core gamer their trust and credibility again. I feel like they have enough of those, and now that they're in this mode, I feel like that they're accumulating assets for the next paradigm, which is going to be your streaming. It is going to be your gaming everywhere. Where a subscription exclusive, being only on being Destiny, being only on PlayStation's thing, and Call of Duty only being on a Microsoft subscription, is going to be a bigger deal than a console exclusive where somebody has to go pay $70. And in a lot of these countries they're going to be reaching and expanding to, that is not like what the consumer is used to. So you might be able to get them to kind of take that step over into a subscription, but you won't make them take that step to spend $70 to play a game for 40 hours. And that's just the way the market has been sort of trending in terms of like the percentage of people that are willing to do that. So I look at it like, Microsoft, I don't even think there is this major concern about the PlayStation console at this point in time. I think right now the reason they're keeping it multi-plat is they want to protect the IP. And where I was going before is Call of Duty is unique in that it's based off, unlike some of the other IPs, single player IPs, the community aspect, the fact that it's part of like pop culture, the fact that soccer moms know what Call of Duty is, the fact that it's everywhere is actually going to help them grow their platform, keeping that as strong as possible, and not just keeping it where it's at, but actually growing it, because they've already said, hey, we want to go on Nintendo too, right? They want to take this even bigger mind share wise than it is where they're buying it, because what's going to end up happening is that brand power is actually going to probably lead to more people jumping in their ecosystem through Game Pass than they would even gain through the traditional console side of things. So I really do believe them when they say, hey, it's more profitable for us because Call of Duty is different. It's not.
Just in the microtransactions alone,
right?
Yeah, like I said, it would be leaving millions upon millions of dollars. But listen, OBM, we're going to come back to you. I want to get to our second guest, but before I do, I got to thank a couple of people. A lot of super chats have come in. We have 2 new channel members. Rufato, who was a channel member before the show even went live. So Rufato, thank you so much for that. And Cerebral Paul, who actually was on the Xbox Factor podcast for his first time yesterday and will be getting a return invite, has become a channel member as well. Thank you so much for that. And the first super chat comes the way of a good friend of the show, and finally someone that's actually older than Mr. BoomStick XL. Shooter 2853 drops an outstanding $10 super chat all the way from Australia and says, good morning, Boom, because it's morning over there. Panel members and chat here, Boom, shout out yourself and Mrs. Boom, a ginger ale from the old fella from Australia. Well, thank you so much for that. And yes, I don't drink, folks. If you didn't know, I don't like alcohol. I'd rather take a Dr. Pepper or a ginger ale any day of the week. We also have CO Merit TV drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, Mr. BoomStick XL, you should have Dirt Gritty on your show. And I was actually watching his stream prior to me going live, I'm actually going to reach out to him because he had a lot of interesting things to say, and I will definitely be adding him. So I can hear somebody's typing. If you're going to be typing, just throw it on mute real quick, please, if you don't mind. John Wolf, who we miss on Breakfast with Boom, drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, hello to the great panel. Sony wheelchaired themselves into the courtroom and stood up as a roach passed them, confirming what we all know. Not a good look for anyone, not calling them out. I love it. Kirby Zero Louise drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, let's not forget Sony played dirty before. They were even in the console business twice. The NES SPC 700 sound chip and the NES CD-ROM. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely onto something. But listen, I do want to welcome in Andre. Andre, first of all, this is your first time on the show. We want to thank you so much for joining us. You've had a chance to sit back. Your mic is in good shape. You're looking good. You've digested what people had to say. Where do you personally fall of all of the information that has basically been? It's like a broken dam just pouring out. What are your thoughts on Sony potentially trying to play themselves as the victim when clearly they are the bully?
I think in general, Sony, in my personal opinion, Sony's like a laughing stock because they're trying to pull this BS on with Microsoft's acquisition and everything like that, and Game Pass and all that. I think it's funny, and I do agree. They're scared because, I'm a big stock market numbers guy. Let's be honest. Microsoft is a multi-trillion-dollar company that can do whatever the heck they want. You know what I mean? And they're like, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. Meanwhile, Sony's like, well, we can't compete with that, so they're trying to find everything they can possibly, and quote unquote, crying to the judges, whoever it is in the courtroom and stuff like that, to try to stop whatever they can and disrupt it. The fact of the matter is this: everything that Microsoft's doing, it's going to go through. It's going to happen, and pretty much, I do believe that they'll keep Warzone multiplat. We'll have to see the fate of Call of Duty because we can speculate what's going to happen with the future of that IP. But I think only Microsoft knows exactly future thinking. Okay, this is what we're going to do with this IP, whether we have it multi-platform on the core game itself, I'm saying, or if it's going to be exclusive, whatever. We'll see what that turns out to be. I don't know. I just get a kick out of what this whole thing with Sony and the courtrooms and stuff like that. And the thing is, Microsoft's constantly pushing the industry forward. Online gaming, subscription service, cloud technology, all that stuff. Sony doesn't have.
I would even add the fact that they added an onboard hard drive before anyone even knew what that was. Before memory cards.
The original Xbox had an NVIDIA graphics card, a processor, and a hard drive, whereas the PS2 was just like an outdated piece of plastic. Let's be honest.
Pretty much.
It was outdated. And the thing is, and I always joke around saying the last innovative thing Sony ever did was make the Walkman in 1985. I mean. I joke about that, but I look at it and I'm like, in the gaming industry, Sony's never pushed the industry forward. They've always copied people. And yes, they got some great first party games, but Microsoft's like, no, like this is what we're going to do. And we're going to build you the hardware, but we don't care if you play on PC or console. So we're going to put games in Game Pass. And I think that's good for the gaming business because you look what Microsoft does for these games and gets the notoriety and stuff like that. You go to the store, we all know that you see the indie game next to the Halo Infinite game and stuff like that. They get that notoriety. It's helping developers that. And I watched you guys' show some time ago where they even announced that how Microsoft helps these indie developers get get billions of dollars all together. They made like these billions on all these games that are in Game Pass, and people noticed them and bought them, whatever. I know Sony for a fact they're not going to be able to disrupt anything. Game Pass is the future of gaming in general, how we're going to consume our games. Let's be real about it. The console factor, the hardware, it's not going to be a thing where we have to sit there and go out to the store every 5 or 6 years to go to get a new hardware to play our games. And we're like, okay, we just got Game Pass, keep our subscription going, and payment updated and stuff like that. What device you want to play on? Take your pick. I think the console situation, and I don't want to say the word dead, but I say in 20 years, we're not going to have to need it. The console stuff is going to be outdated news. We're not going to have a console. We're just going to play on whatever Microsoft presents to us, the new hardware, the new TVs, everything like that, whatever they put their service on. And you got to remember that they got the hologram technology, the HP chipset stuff that they have. I mean, we could very well see games in holograms, which is better than, in my personal opinion, better than the VR at this point. So I just think it's a bunch of bullets Sony's doing, and I laugh at every time I see something on the news and like Twitter and stuff like that. I laugh at this stuff because I'm like, they're scared. And that's my overall thought about it. They're just terrified of Microsoft, and they're like, hey, we can't compete with this guy, so we're gonna cry about it. But the thing is, Sony, you're not gonna win that argument. You're just not gonna win it. Microsoft's gonna continue doing the business how they do business, and business for them is tremendously well, as we see in the stock market.
Yeah, no, it's again, you make up some really great points. Everborn Saga, I know that you're chomping at the bit to get in here and go ham on the topic. You obviously have been watching this with a keen eye. You and Kay Asante have an excellent show on Saturdays, the Gaming Circle podcast, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would imagine that this week's show is going to be very, very action-packed, surrounding many of the things we're talking about. But, of course, I got to hear what you want to say about everything that has been already spoken about and what you have read.
Yeah, man. So, well, I mean, the this week's news segment on the Gaming Circle podcast is gonna it's gonna have to have a full overhaul. We were planning rainbows and kittens to talk about, but now this is where we are. So, but more seriously, so I just want to preface all of this with these sort of predictions that we're all making and what we are sort of extrapolating from this information. I want us all to remember what I say every week. It's not show friends, it's show business, right? Sony and Microsoft are doing and saying whatever they have to in order to achieve their goals. Now, on Microsoft's hand, they are going to downplay the importance of COD. They're going to play up all of the shenanigans that Sony has done with their market leader position over the last generation. And all those things are probably things that Microsoft would have done had they been in the first place. So I don't want to lose that fact, because I think, and I said this earlier, as fans, we add a lot of morality to these things where it doesn't exist, right? Don't let the smiles fool you. And I'm sure Phil Spencer is a nice human being, but when it comes to business, he is not a nice man. He's a cutthroat businessman, just like everybody else. And if you can let the smiles fool you, but you don't buy Activision and ZeniMax if you're just here for rainbows and kittens, right? That's just not why you do that. So speak nice. Get your objectives across. It'll allow you to acquire more things, have the appearance of propriety. But anything, as I said before, anything that is not expressly written in those contracts or consent decrees, they are going to do whatever they can get away with. So that's my disclaimer before I start all of this, right? Corporations are not your friends. That's all I'm saying. Now, as to what Sony's talking about, and I cut in a little bit over there, and I apologize for that, but I didn't want to forget those points. Sony knows, and all this consternation is of two reasons, right? And I said this last week, I think. When it comes to business, uncertainty is kryptonite, right? They were certain on January 17th, right, that their COD marketing deal was intact, and they would use it, and they would be the brand that would be associated with COD for as long as COD is a popular item, as long as they were popular, right? January 18th, they wake up, things change. Now, will Microsoft make COD exclusive one day after that marketing deal is up? Who the hell knows? I don't even think Microsoft knows. I think they assess that every year and decide what's going to be best for their business. But them assessing what is best for their business will not include what is best for Sony. And that is what Sony is most concerned about, because now you don't know what Phil Spencer is going to do on any given Sunday. He could say after these 3 games, you get nothing. He could turn into the COD Nazi or the soup, like the soup Nazi in Seinfeld.
No soup for you.
Right. So
no
again,
COD for you.
Again, and he would be within his rights unless it's in writing. So what Sony would like is something that says, at least if they can try, get something that will hold them to keeping the COD on their platform. Because if they are required to by any consent decree, which they probably won't have to, but if they are required by that, then their leverage rights become different, because you can't threaten to take COD away if you're required to keep it there, right? And so then when Microsoft starts saying, hey, listen, man, we want to get Final Fantasy, or we don't want to pay the asshole tax or
the cross-play fees, and I think that's something they pay right now, Activision. So
right, so we don't want to pay for those things on anything. It's not just COD. We don't want to pay for it on Minecraft. We don't want to pay for it on Elder Scrolls Online. All that, right? So again, all of this on top of the uncertainty, this is about really, when you think about it, because Microsoft says they're going to leave it there. If you take Microsoft at face value, this is about them losing the marketing rights, because they know how beneficial those marketing rights have been, right? They're not going to lose the game, even though that's how Microsoft and Sony are talking about what if COD was or wasn't on the platform, right? And I do find that interesting, right? So, but let's put that aside as future exclusivity. Let's put it aside. How much has Sony benefited off, even right now, with Modern Warfare 2? The beta access is going to be a week early on PlayStation, right? Yeah. How long did Xbox have to wait for zombie mode, right? Yeah. In the past. All these things, right? Now they will be on the Xbox first. All those things that Sony was able to do. And Sony wasn't wrong for doing it. Right? They were within their rights, and this is business. So now, with Microsoft owning Activision, now Microsoft says, hey, we will be the console that is associated with COD. We will be the ones with the early beta access. If they decide to go back to making zombie mode an exclusive thing, or a timed exclusive, it will be timed exclusive to Xbox. Right? And once millions and millions of people, because it's the number one or almost the number one selling game every year. It's at least in the top 5, right? Even on the bad years, right? So $199 COD on the box, 3 months of Game Pass included. What is Timmy's mom going to do? We all going
to buy that $200 box,
right? Yeah. The hardcore PlayStation fan is not moving over, right? They're fine. They will pay. We can.
They'll pay the $76.43.
They'll pay more. Game. They'll pay $150, right? Why not?
Hashtag charge them more,
right? We should do like I'm saying we, like I'm one of them, but like they, do a remake of Modern Warfare and don't change anything. And they'll be happy to pay it. My point is, you're paying $70 for it on one side. It is printed on the $199 box, which is able to be on shelves holiday season, and also included in the subscription. That is a nightmare.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if COD is on your platform. It is a nightmare for Sony, because why? All the casuals, all the hardcore COD players, they are going to go the same way they left the 360. They left Xbox to go to PlayStation when PlayStation had those marketing rights. They're afraid of losing those people, not their hardcores.
Can I jump in, Everboard? Since because we'll do it to each other, the tag team on this. No, but actually, you're kind of making one of the points I was trying to say earlier about the fact that it actually uniquely has value as a multi-plat versus other games. I've said it before, Call of Duty staying on PlayStation, and I think Jim Ryan is aware of this because they kind of alluded to this last time. It basically serves as a Trojan horse for Game Pass, right? Because
someone actually just said that. Somebody actually literally just said that in the chat.
Yeah, because it basically, because of the mind share it has, because of the pop culture influence it has, because everybody knows what Call of Duty is, when you start attaching it to that $200 box you're mentioning at Christmas, when influencers are playing the Xbox version because the beta is going to Game Pass Ultimate users first a week early, right? So all your influencers are getting on there and saying, I'm playing this on Game Pass. When that starts happening, when friends are playing crossplay over Discord eventually soon, and one of them's like, "Hey, why don't you just get an Xbox and get it on Game Pass when you upgrade your console?" When that stuff starts happening, like I said, Call of Duty is very unique in that regard.
When you are the friend in the group that doesn't have access to some early content, that's it. You're getting up, you're walking out of your house, and you're going to go buy an Xbox. Now, here's the other thing. It doesn't matter that it's on PlayStation.
I'm breathing heavy, but I'm kind of just sitting here like, go ahead.
I'm coming. I'm gonna bring it home. All right. So the another point to make here. What is really I think at the crux of this, if a game like COD can go into a subscription service, you basically devalue the hit-driven business that Sony has, right? Because right now, people are happy to be charged more for these hits. And they say, look, I have PlayStation Plus. God of War is not going in there because it's too big to go in there. I understand that, right? But how can you say Spider-Man,
you good, bro?
the biggest game of the year, is not too big to go into this other service, right? And when we're talking about training consumers, when you train the consumer to think that a game like COD can be in a subscription service, once the consumer understands that, they're going to look at these games that are not in a service that happens to be more expensive if you pay month to month. They're going to look at that and they're going to laugh in your face and say, no, I want Spider-Man and Horizon and all those things. I want those things in a service. And that is a very precarious predicament for Sony to be in, because 100%. I don't know that they can actually afford to put those $200 million games, even though they're like selling them 3 times to you and amortizing the cost. But that's a different argument for a different day. So they are utilizing that. So that $200 billion.
That's not really a different argument. It's just the facts.
Yeah, no, it is. Crispy, I do want to bring you in on the conversation, but before I do, I got to read some more from the VGC article, and I want you to take again. We're going to come back around to everybody because we're not done talking about this. We're going to be talking about some of the exclusive games for right now that Microsoft players or Xbox players can't play, that Sony has locked up. Specifically, a lot of them with Square Enix, which they eventually will buy, but they don't own them yet. And a lot of these games, I mean, there's a reason why Square Enix was so down in the numbers, because they're only catering to, not supporting them. And it's shocking that this still continues. But Crispy, these are some excerpts from this article from VGC, which I will add to the show notes if you want to read it to yourself. Here are some quotes from Microsoft. Stating that Call of Duty has a loyal following is a premise from which does not follow from the conclusion that the game is a game category per se. Sony owns PlayStation. Incidentally, has an established base of loyal brand players, such as finding, however, does not lead to the conclusion that the PlayStation or any branded product with loyal consumers is a separate market from all other consoles. Extrapolating from such a finding to the extreme conclusion that Call of Duty is a category of games per se is simply unjustifiable under any quantitative and qualitative analysis. And those are some big words that Microsoft used to really drive this point home. I would like to, I know that you were with me this afternoon for 60 minutes when we talked about
the first Boom? I'm that good. Do you know what I want to ask anybody that's a PlayStation gamer right now? If Halo Master Chief Collection was on PlayStation right now, would you play it?
For sure they would. They absolutely would. Yeah.
That's where I go and say Microsoft is just playing a different damn game. Can we get this through your heads? Okay? Like, you want to pay $70? Oh, cool. Guess what? I got Gears 5 for $15 a month. Actually, it was 10 back then when it came out. So let's be honest for a second. Also, you have to realize that if this doesn't pass by the end of the year, the ABK deal is done. Okay? Because they've gotten too far with the FCC at this point. Number one. Number two, if Amazon can get away with it, guess what? Amazon has 0 contracts with the U.S. government. Guess who has contracts with the U.S. government? They have like
that'd
3,
be Microsoft, sir.
I believe. Microsoft, okay? Because they are a U.S.-owned company. Then, because we're in whatever political, whatever BS you want to think of, we're in a political environment at this point where guess what? Everybody's fair game. All these other, the EU, everybody else is going to coincide with whatever America happens right now. Okay? Regardless of what we're paying, how absurd it is, that is fine. I don't care. Okay? I'm talking about gaming here. All right? So I don't want to hear no BS, no null and void. Oh, this is what's happening, really. Like guess what? It has nothing to do with gaming. It has to do with what we're paying right now. But you look at what they provide to us right at this point. Sony's not doing that. Hey, Boom's got Stray. Hey, I would play Stray too. What else we got? If you've never had an Xbox, you buy a Series S right now. You've never had an Xbox in your entire life. You got the entire Halo series right there. You got the entire Gear series, even though I want a remaster. I think everybody's with me. If you're a Gears fan, you want a remaster. Okay. You got the entire Forza series until the licenses go out. Okay. You got all this DLC and everything else that, hey, you pay a little bit of money compared to a lot of money. $70 versus $20. I mean, let's be honest. And we're talking about games that are just getting upgraded. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, let's be honest here. PlayStation is afraid because they can't do the same thing they've been doing. Screwing you. That's what they've been doing to you. And if you're going to take it, go ahead and take it. I'm not going to argue with you about it. You want that life? I'm good with it. You got that money to spend, go right ahead. But you know what? For me, I'm good where I'm at. Because you know what? Plague Tale Requiem is going to come out, and they haven't delayed it yet or nothing. That game's going to come out. I think they're riding on that game. I really believe that. And I think that's going to be like, it's going to no holds barred, like possibly steal game of the year. I feel that from Elden Ring. Elden Ring came out how many months ago? Everybody already beat it. Everything else. Sir. Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, Sobo ain't messing around. And the only thing I ask is when this deal is done with ABK, you buy a Sobo right off rip.
I absolutely, yeah, I think they have to join
a
Xbox.
Sobo has been a pillar in the Xbox community for years, especially with Flight Sim. You look at that.
Well, they have a 10-year plan with that, so it makes sense. Yeah.
They have an ability to do what Xbox wants. Freaking purchase them, get it over with.
Yeah.
This is where I go and say Sony.
Certain affinity should be in that purchase as well. They've just been so entrenched in.
No. Do you know who I want? Boom. Do you?
IO Interactive.
Before us, no. Crytek.
Oh, Crytek would be dope.
Yes.
Crytek and the coalition to make games. my God.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
Like,
I think we're going to see a lot of big announcements come 2023 if this deal gets done this year. You know, real quick, I just want to welcome in. I don't want to shout anybody out. I don't want to put the spot. I don't want to try to embarrass anybody. Mass Produced 201. Listen, dude, obviously you're a Sony guy, and we love that you're here, right? Please don't bombard him with hate. He has opinions. He says this in his last, and he's had a lot to say. I've read them all. They can't move the Series S consoles. They're going on sale. Listen, dude, here's the thing. I understand that your allegiance is to Sony. I hear you. My allegiance is to Xbox. But the truth of the matter is that on this show, on this podcast, on this channel, we don't hate on anything. We are presenting information that has been put out there by credible sources, right? This isn't us piling on the rabbit, so to speak. Sony has put themselves in the corner. This information got out. Now, whether or not it's Sony's inability to read the room and know that Brazil has a very open door policy when it comes to these things.
They do. Everybody
right.
can look it up.
Right. Now, if Sony didn't know that, well, then Sony needs to hire better lawyers like Microsoft.
Okay.
But the truth of the matter is that this stuff is out there. We are reading this. This is not the first week. This is week number 2. And more information has come out. But this time, it's not Sony statements. It's Microsoft. Now, again, how did these things get out there? Because a lot of the stuff was redacted by the original Reddit poster. They're not redacted anymore. Is this Microsoft? I don't know. But listen, Crispy, I don't know how much time we have with him. Crazy Lou Gaming from Xbox International has traced our presence all the way from the Dominican Republic. Listen, Crazy Lou, you have had video after video after incredible video. We got to get your opinion on this. Sony is painting themselves as a victim when clearly they have been the dominant bully for the PlayStation 4 generation and then still are the market leader with nearly 22 million consoles sold compared to Xbox's 16 million. And that's a fact. But the truth of the matter is that they are starting to loosen the grasp. And I say they, Microsoft. Eventually, Sony is going to fall to their death in third place. They're not going to be able to beat Nintendo, and they're certainly going to lose to Microsoft when Call of Duty comes in to the service. Now, right now, from what we understand, they have the marketing rights through this year. Next year, there's no Call of Duty, and the year after, I don't know about the following year. Once they officially lose the marketing rights, it is going to be literally, no pun intended, game over, because their biggest IP that brings in the most money, that's not first party, is going to be owned by their competitor. Have you had a chance to read what VGC has reported in the last 48 hours?
Oh, dear Lord. I read that and I'm still with my mouth open. I mean,
please take as much time as you want to elaborate on it.
Oh, man. I mean, when Sony came after being the victim and I saw that, I was like, what are they doing? I mean, seriously, that's a crazy PR stunt. I would never do that. As a company being number one, I would never do that. I mean, I hope that guy gets kicked and like fired, or I don't know, because I would never say that, especially there. If I had something personal to say, I would call Microsoft and say, hey, Microsoft, you know, I don't want to lose this. What can we do? Let's negotiate this and that, you know. But that was a crazy PR stunt right there. What they made. Like, hey, let's be the victims. So, okay, they were the victims. And I was like, man, you guys really effed up right there. I mean, I would not say that, because you guys kept poking the bear and they poked the bear and this is what they got. And Xbox came back and retaliated really hard. I mean, today I saw something, I was like, whoa. It says here from VGC charts, it also claims that Sony actively tries to hamper Game Pass growth by paying some developers for blocking rights to prevent them from adding content to Game Pass. When I read that, I was like, oh man, these guys are taking the dirty laundry out finally. They were like, they're not going to get a 2013 like they did back in the day. Remember the 2013 when Sony said, hey, you know, they grabbed the CD and were like, yeah, let me hand it over to you. Yeah, see, share games. Xbox said, you guys ain't pulling the 2013 on me again. No, they came back and said, look, This is what's going on. This is what they've been doing with third-party games, this and that. Oh, man, I read that stuff and I was like, dear Lord. Literally, Sony messed up with that comment. They should have just never commented it there. It's like basically they were saying, hey, we don't want that buy to happen because if it does, it's going to make people choose consoles. I mean, seriously, what were you guys doing the last, how many years? 7 years, 8 years? What are they doing?
Maybe longer than that, dude. Yeah, they've been doing this for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've been doing that. They've been getting all their content over here. They've been bringing, what's it called? Square Enix. We're still waiting for Final Fantasy VII Remake to come.
Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy 16, Forspoken. That's just to name a few.
Yeah, seriously, we're just waiting for those games to come, and they're still not coming. And what did they do? What kind of deal did they make? I mean, yeah, right there they said it. They paid third-party developers to not share the content in Game Pass. That is insane. I mean, I remember when I first heard about this, it was with Nintendo and Sega. There's a good documentary called Console Wars, and literally the guys from Sega said that Nintendo told developers, "Hey, if you guys make one game for Sega, you guys aren't going to be back here again." Literally, Nintendo told them that, and so we're pretty much seeing the same thing, but in a different way. You know, like, hey, let's pay you, just don't go over there. And the funny part is that Sony wasn't counting on Xbox to come back and saying, hey, you know, all the stuff they said today, they weren't counting on that. But here's the thing, though. Sony forgot something. Since Xbox bought Bethesda, when was it? 2020 or 2021? Was it 2021 or 2020?
I think it was it?
I think it was 2021.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right. Same thing with Activision Blizz. I mean, when they bought that, they're going to get pretty much everything and all the conversations they've been having, emails and stuff like that. And probably right there, they have something in their hands, because if you're going to say that, like they said it today on how Sony's been blocking third-party developers on going on Game Pass, it's because they got proof. And it's probably from one of those buys, they have that proof right there, which is insane. I mean, literally, that left my mouth open. I was like, no way, that can't be possible. That those guys were doing that. And like I said, pushing that, they were poking the bear, and that bear woke up and just bit him right back. I was like, nope, the 2013 ain't happening again. And I'm glad they did. I'm happy they did. Really, I'm happy.
You know what? You're actually not the only one on the panel to actually say that. You know, a lot of people here have iterated that it's especially Keisante, regarding Microsoft showing their fangs, you know, biting back, fighting back, not sitting there and being the good kid, the goody two shoes, come out there and hold Sony to task. But listen, what I want to do is I kind of want to make I want to, you know, we're going to keep talking about this for the remainder of the show, but I do have one specific question that I want to hear from everyone regarding their answers, because everyone is going to have something different to say. And Keisante, I want to scroll this all the way back to you. My question to you, and we've had this conversation numerous times, but of course I'm interested to hear you say this live on the air. What happens when Xbox has the ability to put Call of Duty in Xbox Game Pass versus, again, as low as $5 a month versus $76.43? How impactful do you think, or how detrimental do you believe this is going to be for Sony and their sales?
Yeah, I mean that is exactly the question. That is the nightmare scenario that that Sony is trying to avoid, right? And I mean, let's be honest here. Let's be absolutely clear here. While they're in the room, you know, crying and bitching about how this will change their business, they're not resting on their laurels. You know, at least I don't think so, because Sony has been gaming for many years. So I don't expect that they're sitting there going, woe is me, and that's it. No, they're just biding their time, and they're gonna be iterating and doing what they're known to do to be successful. So it's all just competition, right? So, you know, in that weird scenario where they don't do anything and they're literally sitting on their hands hoping that the Brazilian government will save them, which I really don't think that's what's happening here. What that would ultimately do is, you know, you will see
Brazilian
a world.
Government is going to be like Rorschach from Watchmen.
Exactly. Where you
You know.
scream.
I love it. That's great. That's great.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And they knew the reason why they're worried is because, you know, in that world where all of a sudden, you know, you see the sticker of Call of Duty on the box of a Series S per se. And actually, I think I saw them for, what was it, $199 on Woot.com a couple days ago. You know, they're still fluctuating between.
The lowest I've seen it is $239. I can't believe you've seen it at $199.
Okay,
I've
seen it at $199 before.
Okay, one note about the Series S, because I know there was a comment in the chat, and we love everybody in the chat. Most people, not everybody, but most people. But there was a comment in the chat about not being able to move the Series S. The Series consoles were the number one selling
3 quarters in a row
for the next gen consoles for the last 3 quarters in a row.
Yeah,
that's 9 months.
We don't think that has nothing to do with the Series S, and if we can't, if Microsoft can't move the Series S and they're the number one, what does that say about Sony and the PS5? Anyway, please continue.
No. See, and I think most people, the reason why people tend to love to be on that narrative is because you tend to see the Series S out and about a lot, right? You tend to see it in the store. Oh, you can buy it now. Oh, you can get it here. You can get it there. If you really wanted a Series S right now today, chances are you could go and you'd find one.
What a novel idea, KSI.
Right? You know, a device being available that people want to buy. What an amazing concept, right? Exactly. And the fact that it continues to be available makes some think that, oh, well, that means nobody wants it, which is a very foolish concept, but that's neither here nor there.
Seriously, every time I hear when people say that, I just laugh. Like, nobody wants it. I mean, I'm going to tell you something, though. Here in Dominican Republic, right, everybody is pro PlayStation. Literally, I mean, a lot of people here are pro PlayStation. And I have a friend that has a video game store, and he told me that Xbox sales have been going up each time. They just go up, go up, go up, go up. And people start buying Series S. They start with the Series S, and all of a sudden they go back to the store and switch it to a Series X. That's what they do. But they actually enjoyed the Series S. They loved it. Like, man, this is awesome, fantastic. And it pushed them to get a Series X. And now they're just getting their hands on the Xbox Series X. So it's a good thing that it's always available, because seriously, it's a way to open to gamers who want to start and try Xbox out for $300. Man, that is fantastic. I mean, seriously, just $300. I mean, let me go try it. Not 400, not 400, just $300. And people go buy them like, hey, let me try this out. Let's see how it goes. And they look at it. I'm curious. How does the Series X look? Let me get my $200 more dollars and just go buy it. That's what they do. They trade it off. And they enjoy it.
That is your logic right there. And that is a very simple logic that anybody else can follow. And what you're describing there, that logic right there, that is the reason why Sony will do whatever they can to stop it from happening. Because it's a very easy equation to put together, right? But not everybody calls the balls and strikes. Not everybody's paying attention to the Game Pass and what's coming up this month and Not everybody's doing that. But if you go in there into whatever store you go into, and hey, this thing is a next gen console, is it? Yep. Yes, it is. It even does light ray tracing depending on the game you want to play it on, right? And you know, depending on which person you get who's selling the game, the console to you, maybe they're knowledgeable, maybe they'll tell you some of the features that it can do. Before long, chances are, when given the option, you're walking out of that door, normal Joe individual, with a Series S, because that is the most cost-effective option, right?
Yep.
And because PlayStation knows that, and you know, that's already something that's a factor that's against their equation as far as their platform. Then you add the ubiquitous game that is COD to the other side to that platform. Yeah, that's a 1-2 punch they can't afford to have happen. So to answer your question, Boom, you know, what do I think will happen if that's the case? Yeah, it's the nightmare scenario, but that's not going to happen, right? Now, let me be clear here. I don't mean that's not going to happen, that Microsoft is not going to do that, and that it's not going to, that inevitable future won't happen. Of course it will. But I expect that when that future happens, you'll see SOCOM, you'll see some other like out of the left field thinking that Sony will bring to bear to make sure they stay relevant. Because unlike Microsoft, Sony really needs PlayStation. Like they really need PlayStation. So by hook or crook, they're gonna keep that thing alive.
So what you're describing, though, just really quick, what you're describing is competition.
Oh yeah, right? Exactly.
What you're describing is them not.
It's what we want.
On the laurels.
Can I pitch you all a scenario real quick? I mean, I don't have my crystal ball here with me. I wish I could rub my crystal ball, and I want to pitch a future scenario here. I'm gonna rub my beard.
I feel like I should say pause. I don't know.
Let me rub my crystal beard real quick, and let me paint you this scenario. What happens if Sony keeps on pushing, right? And Microsoft just decides and says, hey, I'm going to put the Series S in 250. What the hell is going to happen with them right there when they do that?
I have a strong suspicion that the Series S is going to be $199 this year. Honestly, on Black Friday, I think it's $200.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine that?
I have seen it on Woot. Yeah. I have seen it on Woot.com for around that price with a game. And now it tends to be refurb here. Then it tends, and for those who don't know, Woot.com tends to be the warehouse arm of Amazon.com.
Yes, that is correct. Yes,
that's the warehouse arm of Amazon.com. So, needless to say, you don't be surprised that towards the Christmas, towards the Black Friday season, this thing is $199 with an included game and or Game Pass.
You get like a 3-month card or something. I don't think they would include a game because they would just give you Game Pass. But
they'll just give you Game Pass.
If they give you 90 days,
they'll give you a game already anyway, right? They'll just slap Fortnite on the box, which is free to play, and it's on there, and you can just play it. Indeed.
And again, I say, if they do that price drop, what are they going to do? What is Sony going to do? What are they going to do? Oh, they're going to probably make their heat sink a lot more smaller than what it is, or what are they going to do? Seriously.
I think again this is a nightmare scenario. Listen, before I bring in before I bring in one mother to talk about this, I do want to just catch up with some of the super chats. We had Gerald Mack drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, Sony last gen ain't this gen, accept it. Drawn TJ drops a $20 super chat. Wow, thanks for the generosity. He says Sony is shooting themselves in the foot. I'm glad Xbox is done buying. I'm glad Xbox is not done buying great talent. And before the PlayStation fans go after me, Sony has not grown any studios from ground zero. They have bought talent too. Very, very true. Jordan TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says, great panel tonight, Boom. Hi, guys. Well, thank you so much, and hi to you as well. Lucky Mo drops a $2 super chat and says, don't forget about Deathloop and Ghostwire still waiting. And you're absolutely correct in saying so. What are your with this nightmare scenario that Kay Asante and I have painted? My question to you is simple. What happens to Sony's bottom line when Call of Duty is $76.43 on their console, and it is in Game Pass for as low as $5 per month?
So I think we already have an idea of what Sony thinks is going to happen, right? Like we saw the comments from the last time, and they basically came out and stated that they do feel that this situation that's building up, and basically they described it as, Call of Duty and the subscription, and they went into details about that subscription, is something that is going to sway people over time. And to be clear, before we kind of get, because I always feel like everything is the narratives are in extremes. Like everything is either dead or it's either the worst or the greatest thing ever. I think Sony's still going to, because they are going to have exclusive content, and because unlike, music where, no subscription is going to have all the content, right? You're going to still have other, lanes and other competitors over time. But yeah, they are going to lose a lot of market share. And I do think there is kind of a snowball effect because, having that 2-to-1 sales advantage when consoles were everything makes it a lot cheaper for you to get exclusive deals, and then that keeps that snowball going. And I think at this point in time, they kind of see that, and I think that's why they are diversifying, right? They can't rely on the previous model of single, just the exclusives in the console is going to make us all our money. They know they got to start branching out. They got to start making other things, and so they are. But yeah, it's going. I kind of stay away from it because I'm not generally somebody that cares too much about who's winning console wars. I was on the OG Xbox. It was my favorite console, and it was being outsold 6-1. I didn't care, But I do think second half of this generation, based off of kind of where things are going, like what you're saying, the fact that you can. One Christmas have a $199 console with every Call of Duty ever, including the brand new one, day one, and say it's all bundled together. I mean, you don't even have to talk about Game Pass at that point in time. You just say all Call of Duties, including the brand new one, day one, are all come in this $199 console. You're gonna sway a huge portion of the casual market. And the other thing is like the markets are changing too, and I think people. I do think subscriptions, I do agree with Sony that at some point, it is going to reach that tipping point where it is going to change consumer behaviors. People are going to think twice about buying a new game. And I have no problem saying that. I know some people are like skittish to say that. It's like, well, how's that going to affect the industry? Let the industry worry about it. As a consumer, you force them to build a better mousetrap for you. And get the best value for you, and I don't really. That's up to those multi-billion-dollar corporations to publicly traded corporations to go figure that out.
What about the shareholders?
Yeah, I mean it's like I'm not worried about their yachts. I know I'm not worried. I'm not worried about their freaking yachts. You know what I'm saying? Like especially we talked about pre-show. With like inflation and everything else that's coming up, man. It's like worry about getting your best value for yourself.
I really wish we had King's version of Jamaican Jim here because it would have been absolutely bonkers. But you know what? I mean, listen, you've made a lot of amazing points. I do want to kind of forward this for, a little bit because we only have 28 minutes left, and I do want to get everyone's opinion and then get everyone out of here. Andre P. Doyle, the nightmare scenario may in fact happen. Basically, Skynet Microsoft is going to be Sony Skynet, and I'm just interested to find out your opinion on when Call of Duty is as low as $5 per month with your family plan in Xbox Game Pass. How is Sony going to react and ask their fans to pay $76.43?
In my personal opinion, I don't think Sony can. They don't have the financials and resources and stuff like that to.
Don't have the capacity. Sorry.
They just don't have that pull like Microsoft does, and Microsoft's like you get the thing what I like about Game Pass is I'm not a person who wants to play a first person. Not a first person. I mean, a third person over the shoulder narrative driven game for 5 to 6 hours and wait 5 years for the next one. I like my diversity games. You know what I'm saying? And Microsoft gives so much diversity in there. So you throw Call of Duty in there like that. I mean, I'm a big Halo fan. I love playing Halo Infinite and stuff. But let's be real. I mean, Call of Duty is just a monster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you put that in the Game Pass, it's just you just can't compete with that. You really can't. And like, I don't know if Sony's working on like bringing back a Killzone or like a SOCOM.
They're going to bring back a SOCOM. SOCOM is going to be their big multiplayer game, which I can't wait because I'm a huge fan of that series, have been since the PlayStation 2 days. So I'll be getting that. But yeah, I can guarantee you that's one of those games as a service they're currently working on. There's just no doubt about it.
And the thing is, I know that Jim Ryan said they want 10 games as a service. I just don't think Sony's built like that. They'll have a couple. I just don't think they're built to have 10. I just don't see that happening because they don't know multiplayer games like Microsoft does. Let's be real. So it'd be interesting.
Well, I think that's the whole ideology behind purchasing Bungie. Because Bungie does run games as a service, and they do have know-how in multiplayer. So I think that $3.6 billion purchase specifically was to give them the knowledge that they currently do not have.
Right, and to that point, like Bungie's going to do a tremendous job, and I just, and I know that they're probably looking at when Sony, you guys talk about the Sony comment, they said, hey, we can't make a rival to Call of Duty, whatnot. I know Bungie's sitting there like, we created Halo. Halo's franchise is like $5 to $6 billion net worth right now. Period. It's a massive game, and then you look at Destiny with the success they had with that. It's like. If I was Bungie, I look at Sony and be like, okay, you bought us for this, and you said that. Are we going to make a 1-to-1 Call of Duty massive franchise for you? Probably not, but we can give you something. And give us credit.
Well, they clearly said in their original documentation they can't make a game as important as Call of Duty. That's their words.
And so I just don't see them. I don't see them being able to go head to head with this once they drop this game, and once Microsoft drops the game in Game Pass. I think it's going to be tremendous for people. Like you guys said, you bundled that with a Series S that does 120 frames a second, more games than the PS5 can do at 120 frames. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real. People want their frame rate. You know, I'm a big advocate of the frame rate stuff. You know, like I know friends that are on PC, like I tell them, like, listen, he's like, I got this game that can run it at 240 hertz, whatever. I'm like, well, the human eye can't see past 60 frames, let's be real, but it looks good when you see it double that or triple that, whatever. But it's just the fact that like Microsoft knows what they're doing. They're appealing to the consumer. They know that, you know, time, especially nowadays, you know, prices and things are going up. Let's be real, you know. So people are going to look at that Series S and say, I want that, and I get Call of Duty in the Game Pass. Oh hell yeah, let's go with that. So that's my thought on that. I just don't think that Sony can compete with that when that happens, though.
No, I had a good point. Real quick, Noel HDZ, brother, you are drowning in this chat, and I say that to say he says this. I'm talking about the first party and AAA games that are not trash that we see in Game Pass. Listen, dude. I mean, listen. I get it. You're a Sony guy, and you're welcome here, but that's just rubbish. You can't say that all of the near 500 games in Xbox Game Pass is trash just because they don't look as stout as something as God of War 18 or Spider-Man. Come on, guy. I mean, you're drowning here. Don't do that.
I think he's kind of late on that. Didn't he see that Metacritic even rewarded Microsoft?
Yeah. Again, that's a great point. But listen, everyone, let's get your point on here. The nightmare scenario. Is it going to happen?
It might, but I think. So here's the funny thing. I think that both. I know I talked about how they're both of these big corporations have one's way bigger than the other, but they're both doing what's in their best interest. I don't think Microsoft was lying when, or I know they were hamming it up, but they weren't lying when they said COD is not unique, because people always leave out the second sentence, which is as it pertains to foreclosure concerns, which means if you don't have COD, are you going to go out of business? And the answer is no, right?
Correct.
Fortnite still exists, right?
Minecraft Apex Legends
still
exists,
right?
Yes.
Exactly, right? GTA 5 and soon GTA 6 still exists. You'll be fine, right? What it means is, though, you're going to actually have to work for your keep, right? And on the Sony side, they're also not wrong in saying you can't just spit out another COD like that. Yes, they'll make SOCOM. Yes, it will be successful. But do any of us believe a new SOCOM or even whatever Bungie does next will be something that is at the level of COD?
No.
Right? Heard a lot of people saying they made Hove. Okay, so make another Hove. If you understand that reference. The point is, I think that really what Sony needs to buy time so that they can build up other franchises that they can stand on should they not be able to rely on COD. And again, COD is staying where it's at today. Tomorrow, who knows? And again, it's not a nightmare scenario because Sony isn't going out of business. Sony will be fine.
Yeah, they are going to be just fine. They're just not going to have marketing rights for Call of Duty.
Exactly. Yeah. If that's the end of the world, if Call it, like you still have Spider-Man, you still have Horizon, you still have all those other things. Like God, here's the two things. We don't have any games this year on the Microsoft front as a result of Microsoft not investing in their own platform early. Now, what Sony is afraid of, or what they're getting ready to experience, is the result of them not investing sooner in these multiplayer games. And I don't know why it doesn't worry anyone.
They're done, dude. Like, come on. Let's be honest.
No, but to your point, I don't know why it doesn't worry anyone that they have not announced anything in a single in their usual, banger fashion apart from Spider-Man and Wolverine. People. Right? You've got Spider-Man, you've got Wolverine, and no one knows what's coming next.
Spider-Man, Wolverine, guess what? They are single-player, story-driven, third-person, older games. Guess what? I can go and play that. I can go and play Batman Arkham Knight. Guess what? I have that.
Right, but that's the thing. Jim Ryan has shifted all of their efforts towards these multiplayer games that they're talking about. And if we think all 10 or 12 of those games are going to hit, how many games does first-party AAA games does Sony put out every year?
2. This year's a little bit different.
Okay. And they're working on 10 games.
Yep.
Or 12 games. That is what we're getting in the foreseeable future.
All fucking clap.
Microtransaction laden.
Might as well act like Xbox is doing the same damn thing. Yeah, they say everybody was up in arms for like a little smidgen, $20 for the Hot Wheels DLC for Horizon 5, and I'm like looking at him, I'm like, bro, you're paying $70 for the same damn game remade freaking 3 times already. Come on, bro.
Oh dear Lord. Especially the Last of Us. Oh my God!
That's what I'm talking about.
That's the remake of the PlayStation 3 game. It's the remaster for the PC version of the remake, and now it's the remaster of the remake.
What the hell is this? Is it a remake or is it a remaster? I got no damn clue.
It's also 7643, which is preposterous. But listen, Everborn, let me give it up.
Let me just wrap it up really quick.
Yeah, finish your point.
So the point is, I think it is a doomsday scenario, not for Sony per se, but for the status quo.
Yeah.
And I think that is what we want, right? We want Sony to not over-rely on their third-party partnerships, like how Microsoft did in the 360 days. And Sony realized that what they had to do is focus on their first party, which Microsoft, got their heads out of their behinds, and they're doing that now. So what we are going to see is Sony try really hard at making sure they stay relevant, and I think they will, because they're not going to go lying down, right? So listen, even if they do go, and I'm not saying that that's what will happen, when Sega knew they were going out of the business, or when they were facing defeat, we got the Dreamcast, right? So nobody's going to go lying down, and I think we're all going to win, and I think Sony will be just fine. It's just that they're actually going to have to earn their keep.
Oh, good stuff. Crispy, give us your opinion on the nightmare scenario. And real quick, I just want to reiterate again. Noel HDZ, he says The Last of Us is a masterpiece, and indeed you are correct. Yep. But that masterpiece is from 2013. So just take that for what it's worth. It's now the 4th iteration.
Hey, where's Factions at, Boom? I don't know.
Not there, but you are paying full price for the game. But regardless of that scenario, I'm getting messy here. Give us your opinion. Is Microsoft setting Sony up for the nightmare scenario as we speak?
It's done. It's already done. You can tell me what you want. That's fine. Microsoft stock, which I wanted to invest in many years ago, but it required too much money and now it's even fractional. More. No, there's fractional stocks now right now, which I could invest in. Other than that, Microsoft continues to go up. Everybody else, look at Google stock compared to Microsoft stock. Dude, Microsoft's like PlayStation. Okay, well, you know what they did wrong? They went public with a bunch of bullshit. And that's where Microsoft's like, nah, we ain't playing that game. for them to respond the way they did, I understand people are like, they're kind of being like nice about it. Well, guess what? It's called PR, people. Public relations. Anybody heard of it? So you go and do that. You go and say it's logical to be kind of nice about it, but also throw some digs in there. And those
which
digs,
is what they did. Yeah, this is where the Microsoft showed their fangs. No doubt.
And you look at it and you say, okay, well, what do they got to play with? Guess who signed on to Azure servers? PlayStation, because Microsoft already had them. And keep in mind, PlayStation bought their own server system that they failed at. Everybody talks shit about Microsoft messing up stuff, but PlayStation's done just as much messing up. Okay? You know what? All I want is value. And that's where we're getting to the point. You could say this has happened on this console or this platform or this service or whatever. And then you say this has happened on this platform and this service and this has happened. Well, guess what? It's happened on like every one of them. The only one that's like shooting through the moon right now is Disney Plus. And I'm going to tell you right now, from a content standpoint, they suck right now. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care. Like, I am that type of person. Like, Disney Plus, you have given me nothing for the past like month and a half. But am I supposed to put that on Twitter and make it a big deal? Sure, I could, but I don't look at it like that. I have like Netflix, Prime, Hulu, whatever the heck I want. If I want to go watch Prey tomorrow, guess what? I already have it, and I'm not paying a damn dime for it. I already have somebody else that has it. And that's where the family plan comes in for Xbox.
Yeah. That's why you're going to see advertisements, Crispy, where they're not going to say $15 a month. They're going to say as low as $5 a month with the family plan. You can get Call of Duty day one, and it's not going to be just Call of Duty.
Page out of T-Mobile, because T-Mobile has been expanding. I don't care what anybody says. They bought
Sprint.
They bought another company.
But you know what? What's even interesting and that people aren't really talking about is the fact that you can go through Verizon and get and have a payment plan for Xbox Series X or S right now. But listen, we're short on time, Crispy. Let me bring in Crazy Lou, get his final opinion, and we'll get everyone the H out of here. Crazy Lou, the nightmare scenario that you have seen everyone talk about. Is this going to happen to PlayStation proper, and can they recover from third place?
Oh man, can they recover? Well, if they keep on doing what they're doing, then they could still be on top. But the nightmare thing is actually happening because, like I said, they poked the bear, and this is the reaction they're gonna get. I mean, seriously, when the deal went through, Microsoft said, "Hey, you're still going to get Call of Duty content, no problem. We're still going to get a bunch of Call of Duty stuff, and we're not going to make it exclusive." They said it from the beginning, right? So what does Sony have to do? Sony have to sit down, talk to them, and stuff like that, but just not go out to the world and just yell it out like, hey, if they do this, this is going to happen. And yes, agreed. Game Pass is affecting them. I mean, look, it came out of the blue, out of nowhere. Microsoft said, hey, they've been paying these guys, these third-party developers, not to add content to Game Pass. Are they scared of Game Pass? Yes. Is it affecting them? Yes. All the stuff that we've been asking ourselves for the last year or two and been saying it's going to affect them, it's going to happen. Yes, it will affect them because Sony is a little bit behind from Microsoft. Why? Because they don't got the money that Microsoft has to invest. And I remember a couple of years ago, Phil Spencer literally said from his own words, he was confident about it. He said it. Hey, PlayStation is not competition for us. He said it out of his own. Yeah, he did. He said it.
Damn right.
Mm-hmm. He said it. So everybody who's on the console war thing and lives still on the console war thing is wasting their time because he actually did say it. Why? Because he's got the money to back up what he's saying. And he is demonstrating it by buying all these studios and not by $3 billion. No. We're talking about first one was 7.5 billion. and now 68 billion. And if you add all the others, so we're talking about Microsoft has spent in less than 5 years literally close to $80 billion in games only. It's crazy. So, yep, they're winning, and they're gonna keep on winning. They'll probably get first place. I don't know if this generation they will, but if Microsoft keeps on doing what they're doing, they're gonna win first place, and probably PlayStation with their brand, or they're gonna be second or first. It all depends on how Jim Ryan plays his chess, because that's what he's good for, playing chess. And he's been playing it nice and easy, taking it slow. Because as soon as Microsoft rolls out with all those first-party games that we're still waiting to come, I wonder what they're going to do next. That's something I keep scratching my head.
Yeah, that's a great point. But ladies and gentlemen, that is your Double Barrel Gaming channel, new episode of Primetime Gaming. I want to thank, we had 646 people that topped out for today's show. Let's get to the outros. Kay Asante, sell your brand, brother, because I think that you guys are going to be visiting this topic once again on Saturday's Gaming Circle podcast. And we could, for all we know, still have more information. There's still 2 days left of the week. Sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone they can check you out on YouTube, and more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. No, it's been a great conversation, and I think a lot of people have had a lot of interesting points to say from it. I do agree with you that as the week progresses, I suspect we'll probably hear a bit more about it. Potentially, get more takes, get a bit more meat on the bone, as it were. So there's less speculation about it, but I do think it's very interesting. I appreciate all the great conversation we've had so far this week. Andre, you knocked it out the park. Welcome to the podcasting family.
Thanks.
Mr. Crazy Lou Gaming, always great to see you, good sir. Crispy, of course, Mr. Everborn Saga, OBM, always show up in the clutch whenever we need you. Appreciate you, good sir. And of course, Mr. Boomstick himself. You can catch me, TKO Asante, Xbox, Twitter, PlayStation, all the places you want to find me.
That's TK0, by the way, not TKO.
And you can catch me doing a podcast with the slanderous Everborn Saga, which you just heard 2 seconds ago. They're trying to be ridiculous on the Gaming Circle podcast, which we host every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You will most likely hear more conversations like this one on the coming Saturday. We will definitely do that there, Crispy. We're waiting for a good topic that will really bring out the slanderousness of your nature to really help it shine on that episode.
I don't need a certain topic. I just need Everborn
we'll get you there. That's not difficult. We'll definitely get you there. No,
all of them.
Definitely. We'll definitely bring you up to speed on the show. But thank you guys so much for having us as you normally do, and we'll definitely we'll be here again next week. Always great to have a podcast with you guys and have an awesome conversation like this one.
Thank you. And OBM, obviously representative of the Xbox Era podcast. Please tell everyone where they can check out You Had Me at Halo, and more importantly, where can people reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media?
Well, thank you, Boom. It was therapeutic to get out here and see my buddies. Again, it's been a little bit, so great to be back, and thanks for having me once again. If anybody wants to find me, first of all, you can always find me playing Halo. But look me up on my Twitter handle is actually on the screen, right? Mother_1.
Yep.
Look me up over there. Also, we do, like you mentioned, I do content with Xbox Era. Mostly lately, been kind of laying low because we've been doing some things behind the scenes, but we'll be getting some content back up on the site again coming up soon. Also, do have a podcast, the You Had Me at Halo show, which is a bi-weekly, as you can imagine, a show about Halo. And after many weeks of, let's say negative news, or it seemed like always something.
Add the drop pod today.
Yeah, I mean, there's some hopium. There's some hopium. So come tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be having the podcast right after 7:00. So if you are a Halo fan and you are looking for some hope that some good things are in the future, we got some things to share, some leaks and things like that. So look forward to talking about that. But as always, it's great to see you guys, and look forward to seeing you guys again soon.
Thank you so much for that. And Andre, man, you knocked it out of your park. This is your first forte into podcasting, and of course, your debut on Primetime Gaming. If people want to reach out to you and potentially strike up a conversation, what you got going on, bro?
Right now, I'm just trying to get my my podcast off the ground right now through Anchor.fm on Spotify there.
Nice.
I started it as a fitness thing because I've been in fitness for 20 plus years, but gradually rotated to the technology stuff, like gaming technology. So it's Wolf Dre Gaming on Spotify. I only got like 18 or 19 videos right now. I'm trying to build it up though. It's just trying to like get it to where I want it to be at. And then I'm always on my Xbox Series X, just playing some Halo and some Dying Light 2 and stuff, and whatnot. Just messing with that, trying to get some work stuff going here. That's really about it. But just excited for gaming. I mean, like 2023 moving forward, man. I mean, we're gonna be eating good on Game Pass.
Yeah, I think we're going to be eating good around the clock, both PlayStation, Nintendo, and especially Xbox. 2023 is going to be a massive year, but it was great to work with you, and obviously we'll have you back on in a future episode. So thank you again for joining us. Everborn Saga, sell your brand, brother. Where can people reach out to you and strike up a conversation and check out the Everborn Saga?
Well, listen, if you want to check out the Everborn Saga, you are going to go to everbornsaga.com, where you can see all of the books that we produce. We are creating our own fantasy universe. It works kind of like the MCU, a bunch of different mainline stories, and they all lead up for like Avengers level events. If you're into anime,
also working on a side-scrolling game.
I'm coming to that one too. We are, for our latest series, The Redlands, we were so inspired by Streets of Rage 4 and Shredder's Revenge. We are making a side-scrolling beat 'em up in the vein of TMNT, Turtles in Time, those kind of things. And I want to share that development with the community, because I think more of us, we've all got this collective decades and decades of knowledge on gaming, and I think the tools are there where you can have one-man teams, and I want more of us to get into making games. So I want to share this development process with the community, and hopefully we can all become, our own indie devs.
Nice.
So that's what I want to do with that project. More to come on that. I'll show more when I have more to show. I'm going to start doing videos on that front. And I don't do multiplayer much, but if you want to connect with me on Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam, you can also reach me at Everborn Saga. And if there's any drama going on in Spaces on Twitter, you can also find me there.
Oh,
nice.
You do Spaces? What the
Crispy
hell?
Bomb.
With this.
Crispy Bomb, you're going to be on a show tomorrow night that I'm sure is going to be talking about this and going ham on the topics. Tell everyone where they can see you tomorrow night, and where can they reach out to you on social media.
Well, if you want to hear the messiness, we got the next podcast tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Other than that, it's at Chris Baum on Twitter, Chris Baum 28 Xbox Live. You can find me on Retro Renegades Tuesday night. Back here on Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and friends. I mean, you all are my friends.
That is absolutely correct. We're brothers, but yes, we can say friends.
well, me and Boom are brothers. Some of y'all are just my friends. that was a little dirty, but it's damn truth. Sorry.
Well, we love you, Crispy.
And of course, find me on Xbox, please. Yes. I play a lot of games. I love playing games, especially multiplayer. So hit me up, Chrissy Bomb 28 Xbox Live.
Nice, brother. And last and no way least, who joined us late, Crazy Lou Gaming from Xbox International, brother. Sell your brand. Tell everyone where they can check out your amazing podcast with your cohorts, and more importantly, where can people reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media?
Oh, man, Boom, thank you for having me in such late notice. YouTube was being mean to us tonight. We couldn't do the show. Oh, man, it was bad. But, hey, we can find me at Crazy Louie Gaming on Twitter, where I do a lot of insane stuff, dancing and all sort of crazy stuff, and saying good morning to everybody. And you all can always find me every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. ET at the Crazy Louie Gaming YouTube channel with my brothers Silent Cypher and Sour Blow in Xbox International, where we talk about everything that's been going on in the gaming world.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here, jumping in.
Yeah,
real quick, Jordan TJ drops a final super chat and says, the toxic fanboys, Sony fanboys, are so mad at Microsoft. Get mad at Sony for being lazy and keep that same energy. And that is how we're going to close out today's show. Big shout out to
people.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Bring the screenshots. Big shout out to the 650 plus people that tuned in for today's program. Hopefully you enjoyed it enough to subscribe. Even if you are a Sony fan, listen, everyone's welcome here, and we are just talking facts. This is not us piling on the rabbit. This is what's out there, and we got to talk about it. Big shout out to all the super chats that have come in once again. Again, those always power the show. I needed new headphones. I got them, and they're on my head as we speak. And again, those do really pay for a lot of the big giveaways that we have, and we have 3 big ones. By the end of the year, Mrs. BoomStick and I will have doled out $2,700 worth of digital gifts, and all you gotta do is be in the chat to win one of those prizes. But of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's important to me. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you, and that's something that my dad taught me with kids. And he would say, "Craig, treat others how you want to be treated, and also it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick and Friends."